welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we're going to be taking a look at a puzzle by Oddlyeven. And the last Oddlyeven puzzle I did on the channel was called Effervescence, and it was absolutely incredible. Involves circles, and now this one involves region sunlights, but it also involves doublers. Okay, that's one thing. So some of the cells have double their value, and triplers. So we've got doublers and triplers going on in this puzzle. And if I read the rules correctly, the doublers and triplers can't touch one another. So it's a truly innovative, I suppose, rule set. And it's got lots and lots of plaudits. We've had it recommended a few times as well. So this is what we're going to be tasked with. And I don't have much news for you today. I'm just trying to think, what can I tell you? No, just an appeal. If you do enjoy this oasis of calm and logic that is Cracking the Cryptic, please consider subscribing. Do remember, it's totally free to subscribe. You just click the subscribe button, and all it means is that you get notified when we make new videos. So that would be great. That would push us towards my long-held but unlikely to be fulfilled ambition of ever reaching 1 million subscribers. And apart from that, we have our Patreon, where thank you so much to those of you who support us there. That's where we publish extra content, including, of course, on the 1st of every month, our brand new Sudoku hunts. And then we have online Sudoku app, which is also out. That joins a suite of apps full of handcrafted Sudoku puzzles, which distinguishes them rather extremely from most of your common and garden Sudoku apps in existence. Anyway, with that said and done, let's have a look at Trouble by Oddlyeven, and I will read you the rules. So we've got normal Sudoku rules applying. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column, and 3 by 3 box. One cell in every row, column, and box is a doubler. This cell counts as double its value on the lines. Each of the digits 1 to 9 appears exactly once in a doubler cell. So we basically have to play Sudoku with the doublers. If that was a doubler, imagine that was a doubler. Then we know that none of the other cells in that column, row, or box can be doublers. So all of those would have to be not doublers. I think that's what. And the collection of green cells at the end of the puzzle would have to be all of the digits 1 to 9. And then we've got exactly the same rule for triplers. One cell in every row, column, and box is a tripler. This cell counts as triple its value on the lines, and each of the digits 1 to 9 appears exactly once in a tripler cell. So exactly the same. Doublers and triplers do not share cells, and no doubler or tripler cell is within a king's move of any other doubler or tripler cell. Right, so let's just go back to that. What that means, I think, is that not only could we not, if this was a doubler or a tripler cell, this green one, neither of those two squares could be a doubler or a tripler, is I think what that means, because if we did try and put a doubler or a tripler here, it's fairly clear to me at least that they are a king's move apart in chess, and therefore that's going to break that rule. So you can sort of, we're going to be able to, once we find a doubler or a tripler, we can sort of ring it with non-doubler and tripler cells, if that makes sense. Now the lines are region sum lines. The sum of the values on a line within a box must be the same for each box that the line passes through. If we've seen this rule expressed in terms of line segments before as well. If a line passes through a box more than once, each time it passes through counts separately. So let's just have a look at this, maybe by reference to this line, or maybe, I don't know, I think all of these lines are quite interesting actually. Let's maybe look at this one first. So what we're being told here is that this cell, I'll make it green, I'm not saying it's doubler or tripler, although it might be looking at it. This cell here has the same value, because this is the first appearance, if you like, of the blue line in box 2. And then it exits box 2, so this stands on its own as a line segment. And the sum of this cell which obviously could be doubled or tripled, is the same as the sum of those 3 cells. Again, they could involve doublers and triplers. And then it re-enters box 2, but it only stays in box 2 for a moment. So that's... oh, hang on. Okay, no, I was suddenly thinking the puzzle must be broken, but no, because these could include doublers or triplers, they could be different values. So imagine this was a 2 tripled, then that could be a 6, and these would have the same value, which is what's required by the line. And then those 2 cells would have the same value, and then those... however many cells that is, 5 cells would have the same value, is how that rule works. So there's going to be some arithmetic to do today. Anyway, do have a go at this. It's 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty, I think, so it oughtn't to be absolute... oh, maybe it was 4 stars. I did look at this just before I turned on the webcam, and now I can't remember. I can't remember definitively. I remember thinking it's not 5 stars. It's not 5 stars, so it shouldn't be maximally difficult. Anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, it's really quite a remarkable structure, this, because there's only 4 lines in the puzzle. So, I mean, is there any obvious places to start? I think probably there are, he says. I think maybe that cell is where I can start, because that surely must be a doubler or a tripler. And the reason I say that is, let's just take a look at this square. That the value of this square is the same as the value of 6 different, or maybe it has to be a tripler. It's the same as the value of 6 different digits. It does have to be a tripler in box 1, because the triangular number for 6 is 21. So even if none of these were doubled or tripled, and they were just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they would sum to 21. So how could this be a doubler? Even if it's a doubled 9, it would only be valued at 18. So that is a tripler. And we know from the work that we did before that a tripler can't be anywhere near another tripler, or a doubler indeed. So all of these can be grayed. Now, can we repeat that trick anywhere else? Probably. So hang on, what are we saying here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hang on, I'm getting confused now. Yeah, I mean, if we actually look at box 4, there are 2 line segments, aren't there? There's this one, which is 3 cells long, and there's this one, which is 3 cells long. But the reason I'm just... oh, I've just had another thought. It's totally unrelated to that. But I have to tell you, because I've just had it. Alright, we're going off on a tangent. But how could the central cell of any 3x3 box be a doubler or a tripler? It can't be. Because if we did make this a doubler or a tripler, then all of those cells would be undoubled and untripled, and we couldn't put whatever this isn't in the box. But we know every box contains a doubler and a tripler. In other words, it contains 2 things. So if you put anything in the middle that's abnormal, you couldn't fill the box. So all of those cells instantly become grey. That one must be grey. That's all of them, isn't it? Okay. So let me just think about this. I know these add up to at least 21. So this is at least a tripled 7. At least a tripled 7. That's the minimum it could be. But then... okay, there must be... oh, no, I'm doing this wrong. I've suddenly realised how I'm meant to do this puzzle. Right, I've been really slow here, sorry. I have to think of this as a star battle. A star battle is a different form of logic problem. The reason I've suddenly realised that is I was just working out that one of these had to be an adjusted cell. And the reason I think that must be true is, imagine if these were just grey cells. Well, that would imply that these grey cells here, of which there are 6, sum to at least 42, because I know the value on here is at least 21. So that means that's got to add to at least 21, and that's got to add to at least 21. Now, by the secret, which is something I only tell my very favourite people, but I'll certainly share it with you if you're still watching the video 10 minutes in. Just don't tell anyone else. The secret is that any complete box of a Sudoku sums up to 45. The digits in it sum to 45. That's what you get if you sum the numbers 1 to 9. But if these unadulterated cells sum to at least 42, that would imply those unadulterated cells sum to a maximum of 3. Well, even if we make them 1, 2 and 3, they would add up to 6, and we still haven't put any adulterated cells in there. So that's not going to work. So one of these must be a naughty cell. But then I thought, well, how could this be a naughty cell? If this is a naughty cell, I have the same problem I had with the central cell. I can't put a second adulterated cell in this box. So this cannot be adulterated. That must be adulterated. Now, okay, well, we'll use 2 colours. We'll have purple, which we know is a tripler, and we'll have green, which we'll say is a doubler. Now look, all of those cells now have to be grey because they're touching a doubler or a tripler. One of these 2 cells is a doubler or a tripler. Therefore, these 2 cells cannot be a doubler or a tripler. And that's just basic star battle thinking. Because if you can see, if whichever one of these is a doubler or a tripler, we're going to ring it, aren't we? So say that one, we're going to ring it like that. So these 2 are definitely grey, and if this one is a doubler or a tripler, we ring it, and these 2 are definitely grey. So the thing what we have to do actually is to approach this more from a star battle perspective. And let me think about that for a moment. I mean, I know one of these is a doubler or a tripler. No. I know much more than that. They're both doublers and triplers. Sorry, and this is also totally obvious now. I even turn my attention to this line. Right, this line segment here is 5 cells long. Triangular number for 5 is 15. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 15. So these 2 cells, if they were not adjusted, if either of them were not adjusted, we'd have to write at least 15 into the cell. That cannot work. So these are both adjusted, and then we can ring them. Well, we can do loads. We can do absolutely plethora of things. Well, firstly, that's green because it's not purple, which means that's purple. Now we can ring this one with grey. We can ring this one with grey. We've got both our doubler and our tripler in column 4, so all of those. We've got both our doubler and tripler in box 2. Where do we put doublers and triplers in row 2? We've only got 2 non-grey cells left. So that allows us to do absolutely loads more. This is forced to be, well, these 2 cells are forced to be somethings now. This is really lovely. It's lovely. And I was slow to realise what was going on. Right, look at row 4. There must be one in there, and there must be one in there. So there's not one in there. Okay, that was probably not the most brilliant deduction ever, but now there must be one in box 5. There must be one in one of those 2 squares, so there isn't one in either of those 2 cells. Oh, look at box 7. I've got to put doublers and triplers in. Well, this U pentomino means this can never be a doubler or tripler, or we'd only put 1 in the box. That means there is 1 vertical in column 1. There's another one there, so that's not 1, which means this is 1. There's 1 in here and 1 in here. Row 5 needs a second one. That's got to be there. So now I've done column 6, which means these 2 have got to be 2. Look, there's got to be 1 in here. There's a little trick there. Look, there's got to be a doubler or a tripler in one of those 3. So how could this be a doubler or a tripler? It can't be, because if you did put 1 there, none of those cells could be a doubler or a tripler, and row 7 would break. So that's grey, which means this is 1, which means these 2 are not, and now that must be 1. This is so. Now column 7 is done. Look, there's 1. Oh, column 9 is done. We can do all of those as grey. That's got to be 1. That's got to be 1. We don't know whether these are doublers or triplers yet, but the bottom row is done, and those 2 are the last 2. And look at that! All of a sudden, just out of nothing, we've finished the locations of all the doublers and the triplers. So probably we get rid of the grey now. There we go. Isn't that great? Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I think I'm tempted to come back and look at this line because I still feel there's an awful lot of digitage along those two line segments. But let me just mull this over for a second or two. So I've now got doublers or triplers in those on that line. I've got one doubler or tripler here, but that's a doubler or a tripler. These are all normal, so they add up to at least 15, don't they? And this is a tripler, so that's at least a 5, therefore. Because we know we're heading up for at least... In fact, it can't be 5, can it? Because if it was 5, that would tell us this line segment adds up to 15. It would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for that to work. So that's at least a 6 now. Ah, oh, that's beautiful. It's got to be even. By parity. Right, this is absolutely lovely. Right, and that's because think about the nature of these two numbers. This is a doubler, so it is 2 times something. This is a tripler, so it is 3 times something. So if we made this 3 times 7, 21, how can we make this equal to 21 as it's a doubler? Obviously it won't work, it's got the wrong parity. So this can't be 7 or 9, that is 6 or 8. If it's 6, it's 18, and that's 9. That's what it is, because if it's 8, this has got far too big. It's 12. Well, we'd have to put 12 here because this would be 24. So that is 9. That is 6. We have digits in the grid. This is not 9. Oh, and that's interesting, actually. No, it might not be interesting. I suspect this has to be 7, but I'm not sure about that. Let me just think about, let's just come back and think about this line. So what are we saying? We're saying that 18, ooh. Hang on, if I made a mess of this. No, okay. I think this domino has to add up to 18. Now imagine that was a... No, that's fine actually. I was suddenly thinking it had to be a tripler, but that's not true. Okay, let's try... Okay, those squares are all normal, and they add up to 18. So by the secret, 18 plus 15 is 33. And therefore these two squares add up to 12. So they're either 4, 8 or 5, 7, because they can't be 3, 9. I keep looking at this and wanting to put 1, 2 and 3 in it because they add up to 6. But that is total and utter baloney. Okay, so maybe I do have to look at this. What I'm thinking is, even if that's a tripler, oh, okay. Here's something. Here's a thought, at least. If that is an 8, these squares have to add up to 24, and none of them is a doubler or a tripler. So this would have to be a 7, 8, 9 triple. And that would be the 8, and this would be a 7, 9 pair. And then these would have to add up to 24 without using any high digit. But I suppose you could do... So you'd have 6, 5, 4 maximum, but the 6 could be tripled. Is that triple? No, the 6 couldn't be tripled. The 5 could be tripled, 15. And then you only need 9 more and you can do it. Good grief. Okay, so that's not actually ruled out. Okay, I don't know how to do that then. What about... I don't know. Not sure where to look all of a sudden. This is a doubler. And it's not... Okay, we can't repeat numbers, can we, in doublers and triplers? So this now is... I don't know. I'm sort of pausing because I'm trying to work out... I think it would be a lot easier to understand the puzzle if I could disambiguate the rest of these doublers and triplers. And I think if I can get any one of them, it looks like they're going to cascade around all over the place. So how do we do that? What's going to be the way that we can do that? These are adding up to 18. I don't think that reveals what this is. This is a doubler, which is not going to be the one that, you know, that really puts pressure on a line, is it? This is 7 or 8. This seems to be the only digit we really understand at all. So am I supposed to understand something about maybe that cell or that cell? Certainly if this is 8, I can see how lots of things flow from that, but that's the most pressure we can put on this line. If that's just 7, these have to add up to 21. Wouldn't necessarily have to have a 7 on them. And then these would have to add up to 21. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's it. Is it? Yes, that's it. I see. Right, the trick is to look in box 1, because that's 6 cells, not, I mean, we looked at this earlier, I was thinking about other things. Okay, so the minimum value of this is 20, it's 21 unadulterated, but we have to adulterate a cell, so the minimum value of this, you know, in term once we've adulterated, is more than 21. So that is 8. That's huge. That's absolutely huge, because now this has to add up to 24 with normal digits. So that is exactly what we were looking at. And this line is going to be tricky still, because now let's actually really think about this. Could this be done with doublers? Is the first question I want to ask, because that might be the crucial one. If this is done with doublers, this is a doubled 6 maximum, which it could be a double 6 because we haven't got a green 6. So it's 12, and then these two squares would have to add up to 12, and we can't do it because 7, 8 and 9 are unavailable, and we can't put double 6 on the line. And the ways of getting to 12 are 3, 9, 4, 8 and 5, 7. So that is a tripler, which means that it is purple, which means this is green, which means this is purple, which means this is green, which means this is purple, that's green, that's purple, that's green. I could see that this might happen. This is now purple, this is now green. Does it actually go all the way, or does it stop there? No, it's still going. Look, that's purple, so that's green, that's purple, and that's green. And everything is now known about the lines. But, oh, so there's a tripler on this. I suppose that's not that surprising. There's a tripler on this line, though. And there's a tripler on this 3-cell line, which is not surprising. So if we know this can't be tripled 6, so it's at least tripled 5, isn't it? What if it was tripled 4? Can we make the line work? Let's just think about that. That would be worth 12. No, that's the same logic. That's the same logic as putting doubled 6 on it, tripled 4. If it's tripled 4, it's worth 12, and these have to add up to 12. So it is tripled 5. And now these two squares have to add up to 15, 9, without using 8, 7 or 5, so these are a 3, 6 pair. And that means these are a 1, 2, 4 triple, and that is a doubler, which is 1, 2 or 4, and we don't know which. Okay, now by Sudoku there is an 8 down here. Probably we can't do much more with that. That doubler now is not 8, 7 or Sorry, I was going to say, oh no, it's not. That was weird. That's so strange. I was looking at these and thinking it's not 8, 7 or... I thought it's not 8, 7 or 9. My mouse said it's not 8, 7 or 6. And there is a 6 there. So in fact, that is a maximum of 5. Now, well, it's got a tripler on a 3-cell line. So even if that's a 1, that would be triple 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 8. Okay, so that could be 4, because doubled 4 is 8. But it can't be less than that, because there's no way to keep that any lower. Obviously, if we put the tripler up to 2, that would be 6 plus a 1-3 pair at least, which is 10, which is higher. So we can't get less than 4 or 5 in this square. So either this adds up to 8 or it adds up to 10. This adds up to 8 or 10. So that tripler, well, okay, that tripler is 1 or 2. It can't be 3, can it? Because if it's 3, we're already at 9, and the maximum sum of these is 10. So if this... I'm wondering if I can limit these 2 digits as well. If by Sudoku that's the same digit as that one, I was just looking at Sudoku there. And that digit, whatever it is, can't go there. So there's a 1 or a 2 on that line in those 2 positions. But no, come on, let's think properly about this. So if this was a 5 and these had to add up to 10, then that could be 2 with a 1-3 pair. Or it could be 1 and then these have to add up to 7. But they could be 2, 5, couldn't they? Or 3, 4. So this has a lot of options, I think. That one can't be 5 because of this. Okay, so I've run out of road there, I'm afraid. That probably wasn't the best place to look. Okay, I don't know where to look now. That's a doubler, isn't it? Screen is doubler, and this is going for 18. So what's the... It can't be 9, so it could be 8. 8 with a 2. 7 with a 4. 6 with a... No, 6 doesn't work. 6 goes with a 6. 5 is okay, I think. That would cause this to be 8. And 4 wouldn't work, because then this would have to be 10. Yes, so yes, I suppose one way of thinking about that would have been to think about the fact this must always be even, because 18 is even, and that's a 2 times a number is going to be even. So that was always even. But I only got rid of 6 from its options. That's 5, 7 or 8. That digit, let's think about that, because we know, yeah, that in fact this is, surely that's got to be a 1, doesn't it? Is that wrong? I'm just suddenly thinking that I know that these 6 cells add up to 24, and one of them is a tripler. But we know the minimum value of these plain is 21, if they're 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. So if this really wasn't 1, if this was 2, it would be worth 6. And then the other digits on the line would be 1, 3, 4, 5 and 6, which is 19, I think. So we'd have 19 plus 6, which is too many, isn't it? It would be quite easy to get this maths wrong, I fear. So just let me mull this over for a moment. I need... That's a tripler for sure. And these digits So there's 5 digits that are not the tripler. But we're working effectively with the triangular number for 6. So if I do make that a 2, that's counting as 6. The other cells on the line have to add up to only 18, but without using a 2. And 1, 3, 4, 5 and 6 I'm sure is 19. It just doesn't work. So that is a 1. That's going to be huge, isn't it? Because that means that's a 2. Oh, and now this can't be 4, because we've got to make this line. Well, this line adds up to at least 10 if this is a 1-3 pair, because the 2 is tripled, so that is a 5. And these squares are now a 1-3 pair. And there's a 1 up there. So this is a 1, this is a 3, this is a 3, this is a 6. Good grief. Now, what's that? That's by Sudoku is a 2. So that's a double 2 that's gone from the panoply of possible digits. And we're probably still in a little bit of trouble on this line. We've got the minimum... there is a 2 on this line I've just seen by Sudoku. Is there any digit we can knock off the line? We might be able to force the 3 onto the line, I would have thought. 4 as well is looking like it wants to be on the line. 5 comes out of that one, because we've had a doubled 5. So 5, that would have gone with an 8. So this is down to 2 or 4 now. Wow. And in fact, look, what we should do, look at those. In purple, which are the triplers, we've had 1, 2, 5, 6 and 8. So 3, 4, 7 and 9 are the options for the remaining triplers. Now, that's not 3 by Sudoku, so that's 4, 7 or 9. Bother. I thought that was going to be clever. That's not clever at all. This row, 1, 2, 4 and 6, let's just put those in case that triggers something. Yeah, I tell you, the other thing I should think about is the other line segments. Yes, this is good. Okay, this is doubled 5, so these add up to 10. Now the only way of making 10 with 3 digits that don't include a 1 is a 2, 3, 5 triple. Well, we can't put 2, 3, 5 on this line if that's a 5. So there is a 1 on this line, which means not only that's not a 1, but that is now a 4, that's a 1. Now, what does that do then? So we need 9 more, but without it being 4, 5 or 6, 3. So it's either 1, 2, 7 or 1... hang on. It's either 1, 2, 7 or... you can't... yeah, you can't repeat the 1. Yes, so the only way left to get to 9 here is with 2, 7. So it is 1, 2, 7. That's not 2. And these digits are now known. These are 3, 8 and 9. And this has to add up to 10, so that can't be 3. So, okay, so this is now right down to 1 or 2. This is 8 or 9. This domino adds up to 10. That domino is meant to add up to 10. And that's not 1, 8 or... sorry, it's not 1, 9 or 2, 8. So this is either 3, 7 or 4, 6. That's annoying. That doesn't seem to restrict itself at all. 9 can't be there because we've already had 9 as a doubler in green. And so maybe we can now work out how this line works, because we've got 5 digits we can't put on this line. The only digits we can put on are 3, 4, 6 and 9, and that's not 9. And we need them to add up to 18 without using any adjustments. So, it doesn't work. No, it does. It does. I miss out the 4 is how it works. That's how to get 18 from those digits. So 4 goes into the middle, 4 comes out of these squares on the right hand side. It's really, really clever this. That square is now restricted. It can't be 3 or 9. 4, 5 and 7, is it? Into these squares. That looks right. Don't quite know what that means yet. So that's all fine. What would be useful here? If this was 8, we know that's a 2. If that's a 7, that's a 4. And that would be a 5. And that would be a 3 or a 9. Can we... Oh, I tell you what we might be able to do is back into the value. We can probably work out what those 3 digits are, can't we? Because this line has a value of 24 with the 1 counting triple 3 times. So the digits on this line actually only add up to 22. And then we include the 1 another 2 more times to get the 24 we need. Now, if we need that many cells to add up to 22, they must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 7. That's the only way that can work. So maybe the way to do this then is to label the other digits, which must add up to 23, and they must be 6, 8 and 9 then. I think that's right. I'm worried that this is now an 8 by that logic. So these 2 squares are a 6, 9 pair. That felt almost too easy though, didn't it? Have I missed a trick there? It's the sort of thing where it felt logical to me. If I'm that does feel logical. That does feel logical. So now look at this column. We haven't put 5, 7 and 8 in, so that's a 5 or a 7. These squares are 5, 7 or 8. 9 has been in a doubler already, so that's a 6, that's a 9 in the corner. 9 is now in one of these 2 squares. 6 is in one of those 2 squares. And that's probably going to be very important for the following reason. Come on, brain. Think of the reason. Naughty brain. Naughty brain is not thinking of the reason. There's a 2 in one of these squares. That still is true. Which line segments have we not thought about hard at this point? Very few. We haven't thought about this one actually. And the other thing we've not done, which we should probably give some thought to, is the remaining coterie of green digits, which need to be from 1, 3, 4, 7 and 8. So I'm actually going to label these up. 1, 3, 4, 7 and 8. Now that can't be 1 or 3 or 8. So this is 4 or 7 only. That can't be 4. Can we knock anything else out of this one? Or that? Well, that's not 1. Oh, this is getting confusing now. Oh, I see. No, that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So which one is 1? Which green cell can be a 1? Yeah, it's really beautiful, isn't it? It's this one knocking itself out of all sorts of cells. It can only be this one. So this is the green 1. This is a 4, 7, 8 triple in green, so that is a green 3. So this is not a something 3. Oh, now I've got a 4, 7, 9 triple in purple, so that's the purple 3. Now 3 is in one of those cells, so we're not going to get we're not going to get no 3s in the corner today. It's impossible to have a 3 in the corner, so there will be no singing. For some of you that's probably a relief. Okay, there's a few There's a few nice points we can almost do here. This remote triple of 4, 7 and 8, you can see that the 8 in that triple is in one of these two squares. So any cell in the puzzle that sees both of these two squares can't be an 8. So we couldn't, for example, put an 8 into this square. Or this square. So in fact 8. Yeah, so where's 8 in box 3 then? By Sudoku it's not here. By that logic I just mentioned it's not there. It can't be in there by pencil mark, so 8 is in one of two places. Oh, that's so beautiful. So now 8 is in this domino, but we know that domino added up to 12 from the work we did earlier, so this is a 4-8 pair. That's a 2 by Sudoku, and that means this line had to add up to 18, so that's double 8. So that is 8 after all this. So which means this is 9. That must be 1 because we know they had to add up to 10. Has that done? That's now an 8, I suppose. That's the corollary of that logic. This can't be an 8 anymore because we've had 8 in green. So 8 now lives in one of 3 places in box 9. And for our next deduction, probably have to look at this line, don't we? But that looks scary, the maths on this one. Let's just think about that for let's just see if we can get rid of 4 actually from that square. So that's very high. So if this is 7, that's forced to be 9. But then they both get tripled, so that would be 21 versus 27. So this square plus the 6 that's affected. So this square plus 6 would equal those two squares, which is this square plus 6 is equal to the sum of those. So that could be a 4 with these adding up to 10. And if these were 6 and 8, 14, this would be an 8. So that if this can only be a 7 if this is a 4, that's one possibility. But if this is a 4, it's worth 12, then presumably that can't be a 9 then. 12, 27, 15 is the difference. No, you can't get up to a 15 difference. So if this is 4, this is 7. So one of these is 7. It's either 7 and 9 or 4 and 7. So that one is not 7. Oh, that one's not 4. There we go. That's a simple way of doing it. So that's now 9, which means that is 7. That is now 4. Oh, and is this the one I haven't looked at? So that's so annoying. That's so annoying. Okay, so what's going on? We've got 12 here versus 21 there. So this square plus 9 is equal to the sum of those two squares. So it's either going to be a 1 there if this adds up to 10. Or if this adds up to 14, is that a 5? 5 plus 9 is 14, and that would be a 6-8 pair. So this is 1 or 5. It's never 3. I'm sorry, I'm just staring because I'm sure this is resolved somehow by Sudoku. I just can't see how to do it. That's now 5. That's a 7. We should look at this column, shouldn't we? We've got 4, 5 and 6 to place. So this is 4 or 5. 4, 5 and 6 down here. Ah, that can't be 4 because it's going to see a 4, 7 pair. So that cell there definitely sees the 4, 7 pair in green. So that's 5 or 6. Oh, I thought I'd seen something then, but I haven't. How do we do this then? Not sure. It might be. Maybe it's this one. 3 comes out of there, so 7 comes out of here. So, is there anything else we can use to get rid of these? We've done all of the purple digits, which is a nice surprise. Actually, it's almost certainly Sudoku, isn't it? Because I haven't really been focusing very much on Sudoku. So there's a 6 in one of those two squares. If there was a 6 on this line, there would be a 6 in one of these two squares. Let's double click 4s. No, we don't. Oh, yeah, double click 4s. That was good. 4 and 8 go into the grid. So, so we've nearly forced 4 onto this line. I don't think any of these 3 squares see both of those, so I don't think we can eliminate 4 from one of those squares. 8, though, we know is in one of those 3. That's not going to be helpful. 6 comes out of here by Sudoku. 9 comes out of here by Sudoku. So, oh, I see. This is a 9. This is a 3-6 pair. And what? Okay, so there's a virtual 3-6 pair between those 3 cells. Because if this is 3, this must be a 4-6 pair. And if this is 6, this is a 3-7 pair. So, does that help? So 3 is not in those squares in column 4, or this square, which we already knew. 5, maybe? Is that helpful? 5 is very restricted in box 8, only one of 2 places. 6 is definitely in this domino. Oh, this the way to do this is to note that there is a 4 looking at that cell. So that's a 7, that's a 4, that's not 4, so that's not 6 anymore. Is that done it? That there we have got the 3-6 pair is now absolutely done. It's forced. This being a 7, has that done? That knocks 7 out of the corner. This being a 4, what's that done? Oh, very nearly it's forcing everything. Wow, this is weird because now I feel like it's literally only Sudoku, isn't it? That's going to... Yeah, it can only be Sudoku from here, I think. So let's try and figure out what the Sudoku is telling us. Yes, where's 1 in box 2? It has to be there. Oh, we nearly get the 1 over here. This is not 1 anymore, so that's a 1. This is a 2-7 pair. I'm hoping there's a 2 or a 7 looking at it, but I'm not sure that there is. In this column, we need 2, 3, 7, and 8. And therefore, that square is marginally restricted. It can't be 3 or 7, so that's 2 or 8. It looks like it's trying to do something. Let's check this column as well, where we need 2, 4, 5, and 7. So that square is 2, it's not good, 2, 5 or 7. That square is 2, 4 or 5. Okay, so we're just missing the little last rinky-dink here. Where are you, rinky-dink? Come on. If that was 3, that would be 3, that would be 3, that would be 3. That doesn't work. Okay, so the way we can do that with more alacrity is to note this 3 is forcing a 3 onto this line, and there's a 3 pencil mark there, so the 3 in this row has to be here, which means that's 3, that's 3, that's 6, that's 6, that's 4 by mathematics, therefore. That 4 is probably doing something. Come on, brain, work out what it is that it's doing. Not immediately sure, but in this column we need 2, 5, and 7. So that is 5 or 7 only. And that is, I don't believe it, this is a 2, 5, 7 triple and everything's available. Really? Yeah, that's really true. Good grief. Okay. But that's got to be a huge breakthrough, hasn't it? I would imagine. What about 4 by Sudoku is in one of 2 places in box 9. So that's nearly useful. We could No, we can't quite get the... What about the 4 in... Yes, where's 4 in box 1? Yeah, it's a bit... I'm not excelled at Sudoku. Some of you won't be surprised about that. But if we spotted the ways into the Sudoku with a bit more alacrity, I think we would have... It's possible, probably, to do this puzzle quite fast. But we are slowly but surely finding a way through. Now, these two squares now, what are they? They are 9 and something, 9 and 5. And the 9 here is useful. So that's a 9, that's a 5, that's a 7, that's a 2. So we get a 5-8 pair in this column. This is a 7 or a 9 by Sudoku. This is 6, 7 or 9 into these squares. And these cells are 1, 4 and 5, and that can't be 5. So, oh, it's a chocolate teapot triple. Everything is possible still. How annoying. Okay. Yeah, that seems to be right, doesn't it? So it's going to have to be maybe this column. That square's 1 or 5. That still seems all right. And in this column we need 1, 4, 8 and 9. So the corner can only be 4 or 8. And that can only be 8 or 9. Is that done it? And that square can only be 1, 8 or 9. So there's got to be something going on around these Oh no, I know what it is. Well, somehow or other we've got the mathematics of this line sorted out now, haven't we? We've got 14 and 12, which is 26. That's worth 21, so that's got to be 5, and that figures out the chocolate teapot triple. Beautiful. That becomes an 8-9 pair, putting 4 in the corner. No song for you. And we can tidy up all of this. This now becomes a 1, which presumably does something. These become a 5, 6 pair, and the 6 here tells us the order. And that becomes a 7, which means that's a 2, that's a 7, that's a 5 at the top of the grid. The 7 must go this side. That's a 2, that's a 5, that's a 5, that's an 8, that's a 2. And therefore, I think we're nearly there. Okay, this is 3, this is 8, 8 and 9. So that's 9, 7, 6, 7, 9. Wow, what a beautiful puzzle that is. That is gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. I think that is a puzzle where if you got on the right wavelength quickly, you could be done with that in half an hour. I was slow. I was firstly slow at spotting it was Star Battle, and that would have helped at the start. And I love the fact that you can basically plot everything immediately. Then I was slow at realizing that this line couldn't possibly only add up to 21. So that would have helped me to determine all the doublers and triplers more quickly. Then I was slow. What was I slow at then? I'm sure there was something. I was slow at figuring out how that line worked. I was slow at figuring out that was actually forced to be a 1. There was probably some mild moments of reasonableness in there. I will leave it to the kind viewers to point those out to me. But I hope you had a go at that. It's a quite beautiful puzzle. Very, very brilliant logic. Just 4 lines to determine everything. Loved it. I'm going to get rid of the yellow there because it might offend some people's OCD. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.